I'm Abby Walker, and I'll be conducting the interview for Education 2130. With me, I have two ladies from the Jeff Davis County School System. To begin the interview, please introduce yourselves and include when you started teaching as well as your grade level.
I'm Christina Chavis, and I teach second grade. I've been teaching since 2011, and I did parapro before then for a while. And what was the next question?
And your grade level.
My grade level, second grade, and I teach at the Jeff Davis Primary School.
Mm-hmm. I'm Michelle Humphrey. I've been teaching for 35 years. Started teaching in 1984. I teach high school. I also teach a college class, and I teach for Coastal Plains Charter High School, which is an alternative high school program. And I teach English writing.
Cool deal. What inspired you to be a teacher? You want to go first?
Yeah. Probably my biggest inspiration came from teachers I had, but I've never ever really wanted to do anything else. Teaching has been my career choice since I was about 7 years old. It's like that was my calling. To me, it's not a career; it was a calling, and that's all I've ever wanted to do.
I feel the same way. I think I had some really super teachers along the way, and although I got started later than Michelle did in my life, it's been that I discovered it later in life that it was my calling, but just that it's very rewarding and that it's a way to make a difference in our world.
Okay. I'm taking an educational psychology class at ABAC. We have learned about working memory capacity, positive and negative reinforcement, and the importance of different teaching styles. Did you ever take a similar class in college, and if so, what did you learn?
I can remember learning about teaching styles, that that's a really big concern when you have any age, when you teach any age child, that we have to reach them where they best can be reached according to their style. Can't always do it that way, but you always keep in mind when you're planning your lessons that there are different ways that they do learn, and some learn much better listening, some learn much better by just seeing. So those, and definitely nowadays moving, that kinesthetic learning, and also positive and negative reinforcement. I try to use both of those in my classroom because I teach younger children. Many of them haven't developed the skills needed to learn to control their behavior. So I use a little bit of both of that in my class. I use positive and I use negative reinforcement because I teach at a title school, and a very low socioeconomic students, and sometimes they haven't been given the skills they need yet in order to learn how to behave in a classroom and follow rules and that type of thing.
I'm the same way. I use both positive and negative reinforcement. Mostly positive because I believe a lot in praise, but there are situations where you have to be the one who enforces a rule, and you have to make the child understand that there are consequences for every behavior.
Definitely.
And I teach seniors, and they're about to step out into this wide world, and that's something that they have to learn. Life is life, and sometimes it's not always, roses and posies and all the good stuff. As far as, I forgot there's
Different styles of learning.
Oh, different styles of learning, yeah. I have a special background, so, and I'm a kinesthetic learner. So it's always been very important to me to try to address all the modalities. I have kids who can listen to everything I say and never write down a word, and they do fine. And I'm good with that. I don't make you take a note if you don't need to. But I have some kids, if they don't write it down, then they're done. They can't remember anything. So because my kids are older, I do leave a lot up to their personal style. Sometimes they come to me not knowing how they learn. So we do some learning styles inventories to kind of guide them and to let me know, what all I have to address. Because if I don't have an auditory learner in my classroom, then I can focus on the kinesthetic and whatever styles that I have. That I have a kind of an open classroom. I'm not your traditional teacher, even though I've been doing this for a long time. I don't have desks, I have tables. We move them around quite often. The kids move around. I'm all about getting up and moving because we teach for an hour and a half. I can't sit still for an hour and a half, so why should I expect a 17-year-old to? So we do a lot of things where there is a lot of movement. The kinesthetic learners get to do hands-on stuff, because it's not a gotcha situation. To me, it's a situation where let me help you learn how you learn.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Do you believe that inclusion classes are beneficial to both disabled and non-disabled students, and have you ever taught one before? You can go ahead.
I have taught them. Yes, I have. I have had a super inclusion teacher who is my teacher partner, and I do believe it benefits special ed students as well as regular ed students. I believe it benefits them as long as it is grouped correctly. I've seen it grouped correctly. I've seen it grouped maybe not so great, but if it's grouped correctly, you will not be able to tell hardly. Somebody just on the outside looking in, you would not be able to tell which child or which children in there are your special needs children or regular ed children really. But I have seen it be a very positive thing that those children, both sets of children, have two really strong teachers to help them. It's a win-win for the students and for the teachers, because the teacher also gets help during that period of time, and so you're getting the best of both worlds in an inclusion class. You're helping bring some along, and also the children learn. The students also learn that maybe this child doesn't learn as quickly as I do, but maybe I can help them also to reach the goals they have. So it helps them become more empathetic and sympathetic to people who may not be able to, or may not learn as quickly as they do. So I am a strong advocate for inclusion classes. I am.
Me as well. I've been in the fortunate circumstance of being both the inclusion teacher and the regular ed teacher. I've been on both sides of that fence. I've also been the one who's trained all the teachers for inclusion classes. I've been a special ed director and special ed coordinator. And like Chrissy said, I've seen groupings that have worked wonderfully. When I was a co-teacher, especially one of the classes I went into, we would finish each other's sentences. We were that much in sync, and that's when you know it works well. That same year, I was in a classroom where I was delegated to a table at the back of the room and not really allowed to teach. I was told to take a small group out and test them or work with them, but never, it wasn't a cohesive co-teaching situation. And having been the main classroom teacher and having a co-teacher come in, I was fortunate enough to understand this is a marriage of two teachers. There are going to be bumps and hills and successes and not so successful things. But my co-teacher and I did a lot of planning together and did a lot of, okay, like how we're going to divide and conquer. And we were pretty good about seeing the needs of the kids. I think it's beneficial for all the kids involved, all the students involved, because life is diverse, and you have to get used to diversity at a young age. So the sooner every child in that classroom realizes we're not all cookie cutter children, we're all different, we're all separate, we all learn different ways. I think that helps them later on in life to understand and to accept people better.
I agree. Okay, we learned about the difference in constructive teaching and direct instruction. Which would you say you primarily use in your classroom?
It's a combination, but I probably do a little more direct instruction to begin with the lessons. And my philosophy is on that is if I leave it up to self-discovery, if I leave it up to the kids to, I'm going to learn this. If they learn it incorrectly, it's really hard to unlearn it and then learn it correctly. So I like direct instruction to begin with. I like them to know this is our learning target. This is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to get there. And then let them do some self-discovery to expand and expound upon what we've already learned. I'm a very hands-on teacher. We did a lot of projects and we did a lot of I guess carousel and gallery walks and things like that, where they can, I know this much, but once I've done it, all the stations, and I've gone back through it, I've looked at them, then I know this much.
I probably use more direct instruction simply because of the age children that I do teach. They need a lot of guidance at this age. They need a lot of, this is how we do this. This is a whole new concept. Most of what I teach are new concepts for children. A lot of things they've never encountered before. They don't know, they don't know a lot of parts of speech and that types of thing. They're just learning to read well. And so I do a lot of direct instruction. And we do a lot of group work, and they do discover some in groups, but mainly direct instruction.
Okay. We also learned about classroom management. things such as operant condition and positive or negative reinforcement. Which do you use and believe works best in your classroom?
For me, I think classroom management is one of the most important things that a teacher can learn to do and do well. Classroom management is very trying at times, but if it's done right and it's done consistently, it can be a great thing. I probably use both positive and negative reinforcement. I like to use more positive simply because a lot of students may not have heard, you're doing a great job, keep this up, you're a super kid, let's, keep going. And usually if you use more positive than negative, you don't even really have to use any negative most of the time. And I also use a lot of whole brain teaching, which crosses that midline of the brain, and the children really love that, and it's little sayings that I say that get their attention and that kind of thing. Instead of just shushing all day long, I can say, flat tire, and they go shh, and then they're quiet, and then we move on, so it's not just so negative. It's more fun and engaging for them, and it also uses parts of their brain they may not have used that day. So classroom management is a very, very big part of any teacher's day, whatever grade they're teaching.
It is. Classroom management is also probably one of the hardest things to learn.
Yes.
A book can teach you the different methods.
Yeah.
You don't know what you need to do until you get into a classroom.
Mm-hmm.
And it'll change within a class period.
Yes.
I have a student I'm working with now, and I've done an intense amount of behavior modification with him all year. He's an EBD student, an emotionally behavioral disorder student, and we have worked. And I was up front with him. Excuse me, he's a senior, and I flat out told him, I said, I'm gonna teach you how to teach yourself to change your impulsivity. So, worked with him all semester on that. My daughter teaches, and I think that was her biggest obstacle her first year, was trying to maintain a group of seniors when she had her only experience of in middle school. So, going from a middle school environment to seniors was really, she was thrown in the deep end.
That also changes too from year to year.
Yeah,
it depends on the students that you have.
Yeah.
You may have a group of children who are more compliant, who are more pleaser type children, and the next year you may not have that. So, you're constantly trying to innovate and find ways that fits your style and what's going to work the best in your classroom. So that, it's not like you just learn that and you're finished with it. You're constantly, trying to tweak it where it works best for you and your students. So.
And I think that's one of the biggest challenges I have if I'm involved in ready class, is that, they're walking into a college class that counts for high school, not a high school class that counts for college. And so there are higher expectations, and also there are higher expectations for their behavior. I shouldn't have to shush them down. They should, if I'm talking, you don't talk, and they should know that. But then I have to also realize some of these kids are 16 years old.
Right.
So they're just, it's a fine line to walk.
Okay, I've also learned about the importance of group work and how it can lead you to success. What is your school's attitude toward team teaching or co-teaching?
Co-teaching, team teaching at the high school level, you wouldn't think we do very much of it. There's another teacher who teaches seniors, and we are constantly either combining our groups, or I'll teach her class and she'll teach mine for a day. We'll just swap off, because we both have areas of expertise and areas where we're much more comfortable teaching. So, we'll do that. Our administration is on board with it. They're very much in favor of, if you can help another teacher, do it. It's fun. We enjoy it. It gives us a different perspective, and it lets us play to our strengths.
At our school, in second grade, we do team teach. Our administration encouraged it because most of us are very, very much opinionated about what we excel in, and I love reading. I love teaching reading. It is just what is my strength is reading, is teaching reading, and my partner's strength is teaching math. So to me, we get the best of the world, and our children do too. Our students also get it. They get are the best of all. So they're getting the best of all the worlds. And when you can collaborate with other teachers who are strong in that subject like you, and then your partner teacher collaborates, but then you collaborate together on your students, I think it's a win-win for everybody. Students, teachers, administration, all of it.
Okay. Do you agree with in-school suspension or out-of-school suspension for all grade levels?
Yes, I do, and I had students who've done both. For out of school, I know that's for more severe things, and sometimes I think that's like a wake up call for younger children that, you know, hey, this school's not going to, you know, put up with this behavior, and I think it's also a wake up call not only for the student but for the parent. Sometimes when you may not have a parent who's on board with what's going on, if there's a problem with the student. For in-school suspension, we've just recently in the last couple of years been able to add that to our school, and it's been a blessing because basically it gives that child and that teacher and the rest of the students in that class a timeout from that particular behavior. That child may just need some time to just decompress and chill, and the teacher might need some time, and also those students who've listened to that maybe all day long or all week long. So I'm definitely a proponent of it. I think it's just really, really helpful. It helps the instruction to keep rolling, keep going, and I'm all about the other children in the class, that their education and their learning is not impeded, and they can keep right on rolling. And so I think it's a great thing, both in and out suspension. I really do.
I'm the same opinion. A lot of times I'll use ISS time as catch-up time if they're missing grades. So they're not only responsible for what we're doing in class that day, but before they can come out, they have to finish all the assignments I've sent. So it does help us catch up. There are times when a student's behavior warrants, okay, we've got to have a break from each other.
Yeah.
And that's the OSS sometimes gives us time to, both the teacher and the student and the class, time to distance ourselves from whatever happened. So yes, I'm a proponent of both.
Okay. How important are developing critical thinking and creativity, and why do you believe so? And do either one of you do any activity that promotes one of these, or both?
I believe that it's very important to foster both creative thinking and creativity. I'm a very big proponent of metacognition, teaching a child how to think. I do a lot of creative things in my classroom. I try to do a lot of creative things in my classroom. For example, when we read Hamlet, that's not the most interesting story for seniors to read. But what we do is we put it in a modern setting, and they do a online storyboard to create the same storyline with modern characters, modern setting, and as long as they have the major components. When we read Animal Farm, they have to come up with a 3D campaign poster and present their campaign speech for one of the characters who they feel would be the best leader for Animal Farm. So it's a lot of thinking outside the box. My principal actually asked me one time if I knew what the box was, because like I said, I'm not a traditional teacher. I'm all about what's best for the kids. And the critical thinking skills, I can't think of any profession where you don't have to think things through. In a world of technology like we have today, that aspect is often taken away. You don't have to think things through because it's provided for you. You can Google anything and find an answer, but if you don't have access to the technology, you need to know how to be able to start at point A and get to point J and all the steps in between.
I always try to, I'm just like Michelle, with younger ones, they may not have developed the capacity to think extremely deeply like a senior or junior or senior could, but I'm always trying to find a creative something to go along with a lesson or a book that we've read. For instance, one book that we read is Arthur's Pet Business, and Arthur is striving to create his own business. He wants to be able to babysit people's pets and be paid for it. So at the end of the unit, my students create their own business, and they do work in partners. So there is that group, that partnership going on, and just watching them get together and try to think of a business that they would be able to do, and they have to have a name of the business, they have to have a phone number, they have to be able to write an advertising slogan about it. And then also we also do a lot of nonfiction reading, so anything I can have for them to create to go along with a book, it extends their learning, and that's something that they won't forget for a long time. We also do a unit on camouflage, and we read a story about a chameleon who changes colors according to the seasons and what object he's on. And so at the end of that unit, they actually create their own chameleon, whatever color they want, whatever background they want, so that he can be camouflaged. And I've had pink, purple, polka dotted chameleons, and they just really are able to use their creativity. And many times that's a way that you can also reach a child that may be hard to reach through their creativity, because there are many children that is their strength, is being a creative individual. And a lot of times we have to be careful that that's not a piece of the lesson that we leave out. Sometimes you're not able to do it, but as much as you can possible, if you can include that in the lesson, it's very beneficial for young and older learners.
Okay, and for our final question, do you have any advice for a future teacher?
Be yourself. That's the biggest thing. It's very easy to try to fit yourself into the mold of what's expected as a teacher, but I think that stifles the creativity of the individual. I've never been one to step into a mold. My first couple of years teaching, I was teaching middle school, and I had a group at lunch. I had a group of 28 kids. Out of the 28, I think there were 9 IEPs and 11 non-readers. So it was a challenge. So once a month, we had a little booklet that was a little magazine that came out that was published by children, by kids their age. Poetry, short stories, illustrations, everything was by middle school students. So on the days those came in, we would push all the desks in the hallway. They had beach towels or blankets or whatever. We all laid on the floor. We read them aloud. We discussed them. We would actually explicate the poems, line by line. Then they would have a writing assignment about it. I would pop popcorn and bring the little Huggies drinks. So we just had a big picnic. And out of my 11 non-readers, most of them gained 2 to 3 grade levels that year. Some of them passed the CRCT for the first time. My principal walked to the door, shook his head, and turned around and walked back out. He called me in. It was like, well, what are you doing? I said, I'm teaching these kids to read. He said, well, you're laying on the floor. I said, that's where they're comfortable, and that's where they're open. So we're on the floor. So don't be afraid to try stuff. If it works, good. If it doesn't, fine. Just back up and punch. Always have a plan B, C, and D in your pocket. But be yourself. Don't try to over-emulate those who come before you.
I think number one is don't listen to the negativity about it. There's negative and positive in any profession you choose, but every profession comes from teaching. So when I tell you teaching is important, it is the most important profession on the planet, as far as I'm concerned, because there's not a profession, there's not a doctor, there's not a lawyer, there's not
Indian chief,
a brain surgeon, there's not anyone, waitress, you name it. There's no profession that could be possible without a teacher, and a good teacher. So don't listen to the negativity. Just let it go out of your head. And there's going to be days you're going to think, my Lord Jesus, why did I do this? But you just have to go back to how you felt when you realized, or you think about that good teacher you had who made an impact in your life. And you're going to have people that say, oh, you can't do that. Oh, you need to do this. Oh, do this. Just take the criticism, take the advice, and then, use it to make you what you need to be for your students that year. Because, you may be a different teacher the next year. It just depends on how, what you have, the type of students you have and how you want to reach them. But I just say, just be you, take the advice, don't be afraid to step out on a limb, do a lesson a different way. If you have a really traditional teacher down the hall from you who looks at you and says, what are you doing? What kind of lesson is that? And it works, and then you do it again, Just say, well, this is what I like to do. This is how I can reach my students, So be willing to do what you need to do to reach your kids, whatever level they are. So that would be my advice.
Cool. Well, thank y'all for helping me out.
You're welcome.
You're welcome.